Welcome to the Secret Agent Simulation and Instruction Training Facility, also known as SASSI. My name is Secret Agent Stone Fox. Each week, our trainees are shown stories of real-life heroes in history in order to build their understanding of being the best secret agent they could be. I am back for week 7 of training for Secret Agent Trainee X3B. Trainee, what are you doing? Hello?
I'm playing this video game, but I keep dying on every level. It's so frustrating. I just want to quit.
That makes me think of today's simulation. Unlike other weeks of your training, this mission objective is unknown, and it's our job to figure out what we think his true mission objective is once we read the story of Joseph. Joseph is a Bible character that did not have it easy. If anything, he suffered a lot in many different parts of his life, but he had immense perseverance. A perseverance that only can come from God. Let's take a look at it now.
Simulation activated. Scanning.
Today's mission focus, Joseph. Our mission objective, unknown. Our special skill, perseverance.
Joseph is the youngest son of Jacob and Rachel. He had 10 older brothers who couldn't stand being around him. During his suffering, God was able to use him in a mighty way. It is stated in Genesis 37, verse 3. Jacob loved Joseph more than any of his other children because Joseph had been born to him in his old age. So one day, Jacob had a special gift made for Joseph, a beautiful robe. But his brothers hated Joseph because their father loved them more than the rest of them. They couldn't say a kind word to him. Imagine having 10 older brothers that all don't like you because you are the favorite son. Not fun. Well, we're just getting started. Joseph began to have dreams about the future and how Joseph would be in charge. This made the brothers even more mad. They were jealous of Joseph. The jealousy just continued, so the brothers began scheming about killing their brother. Now this seems crazy because it is crazy. Reuben, the oldest son of Jacob and Rachel, planned to save his brother Joseph without the others knowing. Let's see what happens. Jacob sent Joseph to check in on his brothers and report back. But when he arrived, they continued to plan to hurt him. Reuben told his brothers, "Let's not kill him. We will just leave him without food or water," and they agreed. In verse 23, so when Joseph arrived, his brothers ripped the beautiful robe he was wearing. They grabbed him and threw him into the cistern. Now the cistern was empty, there was no water in it. How could they do this to their own brother? To some of the brothers, this plan wasn't enough to satisfy the jealousy and anger they had towards Joseph. So they decided to sell him into slavery. So later that day, Joseph was sold for 20 pieces of silver. Joseph spent many years working for a man named Potiphar. Joseph was only 17 years old when he was sold by his brothers. He spent several years hurting and broken for what his brothers had done. Many years later, he was actually thrown into prison for something he didn't even do. This is when the story begins to turn around. You see, during this time, Joseph stayed faithful to God. While Joseph was in prison, he was able to use his gifts and talents for God's glory. If you remember, when he was having dreams about the future, his brothers were angry that he had a gift from God. It turned out to be the very skill that God used Joseph for later on in the story. While Joseph was in prison, Pharaoh, who was in charge at the time, was having dreams about the future, but he needed someone that understood the dreams. Because God gave that skill to Joseph, he was able to help Pharaoh. Many years later, he became the second in command after Pharaoh. God used Joseph's story of abuse and trauma for his glory. Even when he was in the lowest of places like prison, God used it for his good.
Simulation complete.
Heroes are made through the lens of trials and trauma. We can see that Joseph's mission objective was to be a light to Pharaoh. Pharaoh didn't believe in the one true God. Pharaoh thought that he was a god, which was not true. Joseph had a unique opportunity to be an example of the true God to Pharaoh and how God gives us special skills that we can use for his glory. If Joseph would have given up on following God when life got hard the first time with his brothers, he would have missed incredible things God had planned for him. We have unlocked the new mission objective. Today's mission focus, Joseph. Mission objective, be a light to Pharaoh. Special skill, perseverance. In a lot of ways, Joseph didn't know how God was using his story, but he stayed faithful to God's plan no matter what.
A new gadget? Whoa, this is so cool. Now I can see all that I need to. Camp Renovate, I'm gonna go practice with these. See you next week.